So weird to see you there. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. I am reconvening our meeting at 6:01. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance. All right, there was no action taken during closed session. So we're going to have our special recognitions, reports, and presentations, and we have a very special evening tonight. We are going to be swearing in our student board members. So, Matthew, take it away.
Paige Leetsma from Petalum High School. Stand right here for a second. Okay. All right. So Paige, congratulations on being elected by the student body to serve as a student board member to represent Petalum High School. Under Government Section 1360 and Article 20 of the state constitution, by the power vested in me from the state of California and the PCS Board of Education, I'm gonna have you repeat after me. You ready? Okay. So I, Paige Leetsma, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. Congratulations, student board member Paige Leetsma. Yeah. So at this time, we're going to ask Paige to come on up, and you're going to have a seat right here with us. This is the same oath that our board members take when we swear our board members in. So we're bringing you through the same paces here. All right. Next up, if I could have Jessica Dodson from Casa Grande. Okay. Same drill here. So congratulations, Jessica, on being elected by your student body to serve as a student board member to represent Casa Grande High School. Under Government Section 1360, Article 20 of the state constitution, and by the power vested in me from the state of California and the PCS Board of Education, please repeat after me. I, Jessica Dodson, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. Congratulations, student board member Jessica Dodson. Okay, and last but certainly not least, we have Ruby Castro Zarco from So Ruby is here from San Antonio High School, and she's representing all of our alternative high schools. So Ruby, congratulations on being elected by your student body to serve as a student board member to represent San Antonio and all of our alternative high schools. Under Government Section 1360 and Article 20 of the state constitution by the power vested in me from the state of California and the PCS Board of Education. Please repeat after me. I, Ruby Castro Zarco, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the state of California
State of California,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
State,
that I will bear true faith
true faith,
and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of California,
Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties
discharge the duty
upon which I am about to enter. Congratulations, student board member Ruby Castro Zarco. So Paige, Jessica, and Ruby, welcome to the school board. We're so happy to have you here. I think before I started as superintendent, we didn't have student board members, and now I can't imagine running school board meetings without student board members. Your voice, your perspective, your just your enthusiasm for being here, but also to look at these issues and give your input and your feedback is critical to the work that we're doing here, because at the end of the day, the only reason that we're here is because of the students in our school district. So welcome, and we're excited to have your opinions, your thoughts, and we'll be looking forward to working with you all individually and as a whole group. Welcome.
I just want to welcome you. I'm Maddie, and I'm the president this year. And I just want to welcome you. I'm really excited. We're really looking at, well, some of us are going to work together to really make you, help you understand what your role is, how important your role is, how you can, more confidently and sooner contribute and understand, a lot of the ins and outs of what we're doing here. And I'm really excited that you guys are doing this. I think you'll love it. It's really a special thing. And so welcome. Can the parents, I know you all must be really proud of your student, and I'd love to have you stand and so that we can acknowledge you. The family. Thank you. Okay, so moving on, this is your first little thing. So we will have our introduction of the new Director of Transportation and Fleet Management, Jason.
Evening. We are excited to announce Lindsay Paccaleone as the new Director of Transportation for Petaluma City Schools. Lindsay is a longtime bus driver instructor, school bus safety advocate, and dedicated member of the Petaluma community. She began her career with Round Valley Unified School District as a bus driver, later serving as the lead bus driver instructor before joining West County Transportation Agency. There, she developed and delivered original training programs, provided in-service presentations, and managed compliance and credentialing. More recently, Lindsay came to Petaluma City Schools as a bus driver, trainer, and dispatcher. During her time here, she played a central role in building the district's transportation training department, providing original training for new drivers and strengthening compliance and regulatory procedures. Her professional certifications include Certificate of Administration for Transportation, California Bus Driver Instructor Academy, American Red Cross Instructor, and Federal Motor Carrier Instructor for entry-level driver training. It's a lot. She has also been recognized for developing and delivering high-quality safety programs, supporting successful compliance audits, and promoting a culture of safety and professionalism among drivers. Lindsay is passionate about student-centered transportation and looks forward to continuing to build a strong, safe, and efficient department that serves the students and families of Petaluma. Lindsay is a proud mother of 4 children and brings both professional expertise and personal commitment to her new role. Please join us in congratulating Lindsay Baccaleone as she steps into the role of Director of Transportation for Petaluma City Schools.
Thank you all very much, and it's an honor to be here and to carry this position. Thank you.
You're still up.
I'm just
there.
going to stay up here for a minute. And next, I'm going to ask Chris Knight to join me up here.
This is the new assistant principal at Casa Grande High School.
This is the new assistant principal at Casa Grande High School, Chris Knight. So we are excited to announce Chris Knight as the new assistant principal of Casa Grande High School. Chris began serving this role this past July. Chris grew up in Sonoma Valley, the child of 2 public school teachers, and is excited to be returning home to Sonoma County. He is a graduate of Santa Rosa High School and earned his bachelor's degree in economics and master's degree in education from UC Davis. Before becoming an educator, Chris worked in renewable energy policy. In 2010, he began his teaching career, and for the past 14 years, he taught math and social studies at both traditional and continuation high schools. For the past 11 years, he served at Albany High School and McGregor High School in the East Bay. In addition to his classroom work, Chris served 2 terms as the co-president of the Albany's Teachers Union. During his time in Albany, Chris led a number of impactful initiatives, including developing and implementing a school-wide cell phone policy, establishing the Albany chapter of the American Exchange Project as the largest in the nation, and co-leading the successful Measure G parcel tax campaign. Chris looks forward to getting to know the students and staff at Casa Grande and to working collaboratively to craft and implement school policies that serve the entire campus community. Chris moved to Petaluma earlier this year. Outside of work, he spends a lot of time biking, dog parenting, and completing home projects like building a new fence. Please join us in welcoming Chris Knight to Casa Grande High School as our new assistant principal.
Thank you all. I'm excited to be here. Thank you, guys.
And finally, I would love to announce the new assistant principal of Petaluma High School, Daisha Oropeza. I get the last part right?
You got it.
Okay. All right. So originally from Pennsylvania, Daisha began her career as a middle school dance teacher in Northern Virginia before moving to San Francisco to pursue her master's degree. She quickly fell in love with the Bay Area, where she now has lived for more than a decade. With over 15 years of experience, Daisha has served as a teacher, coach, administrator, gaining a deep understanding of school systems and public education. In her central office role, Daisha designed professional development for new teachers and organized large-scale events, including the Special Olympics. Later, as a program administrator, she co-created a UC-approved A through G physical education course, which was the first of its kind in the district. While living in San Francisco, Daisha met her husband, Mario. In 2020, they relocated to Petaluma to be closer, but not too close, to Mario's family in Santa Rosa. They are now raising 2 daughters, Eliana and Aisha, in this wonderful community. Daisha is excited to join the Petaluma High School community and looks forward to building meaningful relationships with students, staffs, and families. She is passionate about fostering a positive and safe school culture where all students feel seen, valued, and empowered to reach their full potential. And she looks forward to embracing Petaluma High's tradition and spirit by cheering on students at games and performances and supporting initiatives that elevate student voice, engagement, and well-being.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. It's great coming from a big district to this small community, and I have really felt warm and welcome.
Thank you, Jason. We are now going to have a nutrition services presentation. Yay!
Good evening. Oh, you're with
I'm
me.
joining
Cool.
you, sir.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to present to you tonight on such a cool night. It's very nice to see you. Trustee Williams, it was nice to have an opportunity to meet you for the first time before this meeting. And new board members, congratulations. Super cool. My name is Brian Dufour. I'm the food service director, and I'm also a very proud dad of 2 Casa Gauchos. So the last time I was before you, I had just passed probation in this role. And so we'll see how. So what I thought I would do, what I thought would be helpful to you would be to kind of give an update to you on our food program, but also really kind of benchmark to you towards last year when I was here and kind of set some objectives and expectations for this past year, and just kind of give you an update on how we did against those, and then give you an update on what our priorities are for this year. That's cool.
In 10 minutes.
In 10 minutes. So this is just here for reference. This is our vision. I'm proud of this vision because we developed this as a community. We have the School Nutrition Advisory Committee. We developed this, and really what this intends to say is that as a food program, we not only have a very, very huge responsibility to provide healthy, delicious food for kids that they want to eat that will feed their growing minds and bodies. We are also a large food program. We're a big employer. We're a big buyer. We have a responsibility to the community we live in, as well as the community we serve. We have a responsibility to our impact on the environment. And so we need to be mindful of all of those things as we're conducting our business. We need to behave accordingly in that way with all of our decisions. So that's what our vision is intended to guide us. We're still reconciling our numbers from last year, but as of right now, we're at a little over 988,000 meals served over the course last school year. So last year I had mentioned to you that it's a healthy reminder to us about the impact we have on those things I just mentioned, like our community, the health and well-being of students, as well as our local food system and our local economy. But this year, I want to also mention that if you don't know, it's really cool to be a food program in California because we're a universal meal state, which means that the state of California has said that every K through 12 student gets a free breakfast and a free lunch every day, regardless of eligibility status, which is a super awesome thing. It's a real benefit. And I'm happy to report that that's going to continue through this school year as well. It also means for the food team, though, I am just super grateful and super proud to the team to do this kind of volume when on any given day, you really have to really pay close attention to how many students might show up. And any principal in the elementaries would tell you that on a rainy day, if we're serving orange chicken and rice, that's like the perfect storm of long lines. So it can always just be such a dynamic thing, and the team shows up every day. They are so committed to this work, and they're just wonderful. And so I want to use this number to acknowledge all of the work. I get to stand here and be in front of you, but really all of it happens because of them, and it's really pretty phenomenal. This is just for context. What I've learned in the very short time that I've been in this role, that all of our aspirations are tied to real operational decisions that are really nuanced. So this is intended to be our compass to help us guide those decisions. So these areas here are the priorities for us that we should be always mindful of when we're trying to make any decision on any given day. What we buy, what we serve, how we operate, what our priorities are, who we buy from. These are things that are day-to-day aspects of the food program, but they all have implications on the other. It's easy to serve baby carrots in individual bags if you're not paying attention to your impact on the environment. So we try to use these priorities as our compass to guide the decisions we make on any given day. Let's see. Are you driving for me? Am I? Oh, thank you very much. I was noticing.
I'm like
that-
Vanna White tonight.
Okay, so let's go to our report card here to keep me on track. That's next. So last year, this is a synopsis of what I had committed to you for our food program over this year ahead, and I'm very proud of the work that we did. We made a lot of progress in some really meaningful and important areas. We have aligned our procurement with our values, and I'll just talk a little bit more about that. We've done a lot of work that is not quite obvious, but on our operational efficiency and our discipline around our spending, which becomes more and more important in a very tumultuous national environment for our food program. There's a lot of cuts. And so for us to accomplish our goals and our aspirations, we need to be making sure that we're very, very smart about how we're operating. So we've put a lot of systems in place that have allowed us to do that. We've made great progress on updating our wellness policy. We'll be working on that this year ahead. I'm super happy I want us to be always sure. I always say that we have a lot of aspirations for our food program, but it's a very big responsibility of mine to make sure that we don't accomplish those simply by adding more and more and more to the team that's putting out almost 1 million meals a year. We need to invest in them, give them the training they need to do their job, and be sure that their health and well-being is center focus too. So we've done a lot of work in that area this school year. And we made a lot of progress. There's an organization called the Eat Real organization. They work with schools nationwide. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but we went through a year where they took a granular look at all of our operation, all of our data, all of our recipes, every aspect of our operation for beginning to end, and assessed us and provided us with a playbook about how we can improve in some 10 key areas. And we'll talk a little more about that. So a lot of work went into that, and we did a lot of work on our menus to make some changes. But there are areas that I talked about last summer that we have not made progress on or satisfactory progress on, in my opinion. One of those big areas is we put salad bars into our elementary schools. And I said last summer that we want to put salad bars in our secondaries. Trustee Webster, I know this is a promise I made to Trustee Webster. It is a huge puzzle to do it prudently and safely and cost effectively. And we've made progress there, but they're not there yet. So when students go there, they don't see salad bars. It's not that there's not produce there, but the salad bars, self-serve salad bars are not there, and we're going to change that. And also one of my top priorities when I started this role was student agency in the food program. So not just student voice. We did do a survey. We had 1,600 respondents, but we really want to implement mechanisms for students to be decision makers in what they see and experience in the lunchroom, what they eat, and we didn't make enough progress there. So those are 2 top priorities for this year. And then the last thing was really storytelling. We speaking back to our vision, the lunch program doesn't just need to be a transaction of a reimbursable meal or a meal that the USDA approves of. It can be a place of learning and connection to the community as well. And we really want to try to do make more of those connections. So
You should tell them how you're doing that on October 3rd.
I don't know. Should I? Okay, so on October 3rd, Taylor Swift is releasing her new album. And so our menu will feature Taylor's favorite foods to mark the occasion. And I know that that's worth a chuckle. But we did also do something at Cherry Valley. They were reading a book, and I think the main character really liked pupusas. And so they asked if we could have pupusas on the menu on the day that they were connecting to talk about the book. So we love to do that stuff. And so anyway, so that is how we are, and our CBO is very, very proud.
Even prouder.
Okay.
Just wait until the wedding.
I know.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll be able to match that menu, but these are just some quick highlights of progress we've made over the course of the past year and a half or so. When I was with you last time, we had piloted salad bars 2 days a week in our elementaries. They're in full stop 4 days a week now. All of our ordering from for all our elementaries and our secondaries order from Feed Sonoma, which is a collaborative of 50 farmers. And so we get local fruit mainly right now. We're changing that this year, and I'll talk about that in a second. And then we made modifications to how we operate in our menu. So we eliminated chocolate milk on the elementary menu. We are mindful that things like Lucky Charms and Cocoa Puffs, while they are technically compliant, they model something different than what we're trying to articulate. So we eliminated those. And we tried to increase fresh options over canned. So we have work to do, but we also did things like all our cafeteria managers, when given the option, we're not buying individually wrapped things, we're buying in bulk. So we're trying to make those modifications that aren't necessarily obvious. I'm very grateful to CSEA and to HR and to Amanda for we requested a reclassification of our cafeteria to assistant position to really reflect the work they're actually doing. And I'm grateful that that was granted. It's very well deserved on their part. They make up over 75% of our staff. And so I'm happy to see that they're elevated. We'll talk, I just love the snack community and so grateful to all the members of our community who consistently come out and join that conversation. And you, Trustee Webster, I really appreciate you giving us that time. It's meaningful. So that continued through last year. We did work with CAPS. It was our second year working with the CAPS interns, and they gave us a baseline of our single-use plastics. So we want to be able to measure our progress, and they helped us do that. We worked very closely with the environmental literacy committee to make sure that our food program is aligned with what those priorities are and those work. We have the board resolution up on our wall of our role, with our role highlighted in there for food waste. And that led to a kind of a 10-year roadmap that we developed for our whole operation to reduce our environmental impact. And then some other things like I mean, this is pretty huge. We have a brand new freezer at our warehouse, a brand new refrigerator. We increased the footprint significantly, which allows us to do things like be ready for emergencies. It allows us to take greater deliveries of fresh produce. And we bought a lot of equipment that's going to allow us to process food, which is a big deal in food service operations. So cutting and chopping so we can buy farm fresh stuff and process it instead of having to buy processed food. So this year, looking ahead, so this is an administrative review year for us. It's our first one since 2019. So that is will be a primary focus for us. On one of the prior slides, I had what our guiding principles was, and one of those is sustainability. And in that context, it doesn't refer to our environmental sustainability. It refers to our sustainability as a food program. And that really is founded on food safety and compliance with the regs. So that's going to be a big work effort for our team this year. But there's going to be a lot of excellent byproduct from that. There's going to be a lot of codification of our policies and processes that's going to help us improve at a much quicker rate. So that's a key focus this year. We've expanded our elementary staff in our kitchens. We added salad bars. We switched from a heat and serve Rev Foods to a production kitchen that's sending food every day. That creates a lot longer lines and a lot more demand, which is we're grateful for, but a lot more work for the team. So we've added a second person to all our elementary sites to help alleviate those. Again, that gets back to the kind of the fiscal prudence and being able to ensure that you're managing your budget to accomplish that kind of goal. We have to harmonize our secondary menus. The experience for students differs depending on where you go to school in our secondaries. And that's cool. Some ways we want schools to have their identity. We want them to celebrate those things like a quesadilla or something like that. But at the same time, it shouldn't be so markedly different that you're having a whole different food experience by going to Petaluma City Schools. So that also helps with our ordering and our budget as well. We're working on updating our local school wellness policy this year. And then this year, as I mentioned, a top priority for us is student agency. I really want to put in mechanisms that give students, if they want it. So voice is always welcome through all channels. But if they want a decision about this or that, I want them to figure out a way to have them at the table. This is pretty cool. You will see shortly, we released a farm to school RFP. So we went to bid for locally sourced fresh produce. And we built that RFP around our values. So local, minority owned, socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers as part of our evaluation, food hub, so that we can be putting our dollars where they will be impactful. We've gotten 10 responses back. We're going through that evaluation. And part of the reason why I'm proud of that is because I mentioned that we have a responsibility on our compass. There is this idea of stewardship. So we have a responsibility to the community we serve, we live in, as well as we serve. So we went through that process, and now we share it. We share it with all the other school districts in Sonoma County, and they can use it. There's a piggyback clause on that, so they can piggyback onto our contracts if they would like. But they can use that as a template. I'm really proud of that. We need to focus on our edible food waste diversion. The team is awesome at making sure they order and serve the right amounts. They really closely monitor the daily production by item. But we need, if we have edible food, we need to make sure it doesn't land in the compost, and we need to work on that. And then finally, our Eat Real certification. So we are at the point where we've gotten the report card on our Eat Real certification, and now we have to do the work to get certified. So I think that's, can you, yeah. So the Eat Real, what they do is there are 10 areas. These are the 10 areas that require us to make improvements across 34 KPIs to get the certification. But what it does for us as a district, in addition to these being the results, is we are part of a national cohort. We are part of a California cohort of other school districts going through this. So there's a lot of knowledge sharing and a lot of ability to innovate. So, and then that's it. No, that's okay. So the last thing, it's not in your board packet because it came up last week, but we found out from the USDA that we were being recognized nationally for our snack program. So, yeah, so, which is pretty neat. So I know it's the innovation in nutrition education is the recognition award. The USDA with Healthy Meals Initiatives, they have a number of different areas. So there's fast scratch or scratch cooking, there's breakfast. And so under the umbrella of nutrition education, there's not just in classroom education, but there's recognition for schools that are engaging the community to have an impact on what the students are experiencing in the lunchroom. So we told them about our snack program, and we found out last week that we got the recognition award, which I think is pretty cool. And that's it. So, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Brian. I emailed you this question. So how close are we to the real food certification?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So we're pretty close. So 60 is the requirement. We got a 57 on our initial assessment, so which is pretty close. Eat Real as an organization has gone through their own KPIs and updated them. So in October, we will get our new report card based on those. And then we will determine, our goal is to certify by the end of this school year. So you have to make those changes and then invite the new assessment to make sure you, so we get to determine in October what we think makes sense for us. And so it's going to be a bit of a balancing act. We'll see, but we're really close.
Do our student board members have anything to say about our nutrition program? I don't want to put you on the spot, but just if you have anything to say, but I am. That's fine. You will. Yeah, go ahead, Joanne.
So speaking of the students, I'm happy to see that you're going to incorporate student voice and agency. So how do you plan on doing that and how often?
Well, so the idea right now is on the slide I had, they're called the Happy Healthy Club. So at the elementary levels, we're proposing a student kind of wellness committee. When I was a parent at Penn Grove, we had the Happy Healthy Club for 4 years, which I ran. And so, so we met every other week. We would have at lunch in the classroom, we would have a little snack, and then we would talk about what the students wanted to do for their school community to make their fellow students happy and happier or healthier. They set the agenda. And so we sort of documented what that process was like. There's an awesome parent at Penn Grove right now, Shannon, who is taking it on and is running it continue. And I think that that idea is scalable at the elementary levels. So at the secondary levels, I can't. So at the secondary levels, I've had 2 ideas. One was more of a formal kind of board. The other one is to replicate that. So snack is awesome. And of course, all are welcome to snack, and the more the merrier. But snack, like our next snack meeting is going to be at 4:30 in the afternoon. So which doesn't work for everybody. So we have to create more pathways for everybody anyway. But for students, I need to figure out a smarter way to have students who want to commit to it meet consistently. And so I really don't know yet the best frequency and model for that.
If only we had a few students here who could help us figure out a way to reach as many students at the high school as possible. Maybe we can connect.
That would be fantastic. I need that kind of guidance.
That was actually my thinking, was that maybe we could coordinate that with you guys. I think that would be awesome. And speaking of collaboration with students, is there a collaboration with the culinary students at CASA to maybe use their expertise and their passion for nutrition and food? Is there any, maybe that's an avenue you could look into?
So there's more that can be done there. We met with Pam last year, and we've talked this year about how our school food program can support the culinary career pathway in the CTE program. And so we've had one meeting so far about how the role we can play in doing that. It's Pam who is the owner of the Casadilla. And the students also cater. So there's conversation, but I wouldn't say there's like a program. We're in the early stages of that.
I guess I was thinking of senior projects, maybe connecting with that, but
Cool.
anyway, no, that sounds fabulous. Okay, any other questions? Yes.
Hi,
Hi.
I am at ASB and we are working on bringing back Sights and Sounds of CASA, which is a program used to bring music and art back, but maybe we could add sights and smells and sound, and we could
Nice.
incorporate the culinary. I would have to talk to my teacher further about that, since we are bringing it back this year, since we haven't done it in the past, for the past few years, but that would also be something to consider.
Super cool. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Please.
Well, thank you so much for the presentation. This is something that, like you and I talked about, that I have dabbled in some of the state policy on this front, and it's fantastic to see all the work that has been done and the support that the board has provided and guidance. I'm curious, you talked a little bit about the local procurement. So how has that started to occur? And then what is local is it California? Is it Western United States? Is it Sonoma County?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. So we get to define local. We as a district have, meaning like there isn't a regulated definition of local. In our RFP, we define local as within 150 miles of us. The RFP we issued is for California grown exclusively though, because over the seasons, things migrate. So our romaine lettuce and our salad bars migrates from Central Valley to Arizona to Mexico. And so we have a responsibility to be source tracing anyway. So our RFP is for California grown only. And then the feasibility of that for farmers determines whether or not it's within 150 miles. So for example, some stuff just has to come from Southern California, and then we get to, that's registered on our scoring. And then we get to determine, if we're gonna serve the blackberries or not. And so basically if we want to, so that's how and we're going through the scoring now. To this point, we've started purchasing from Feed Sonoma, which is a farmer-owned cooperative. They represent 50 farms from mostly around Sonoma County, but as far as 350 miles away. But they're local or they're small scale farmers who need help distributing to restaurants. And so Feed does awesome groundbreaking work. They're a tremendous partner of ours. They have organic, regeneratively grown stuff. And so we've started buying apples, Asian pears, plums, anything that is in season and grown by farmers. So they're not exclusively 100. I mean, they themselves are located here in Petaluma, which is impactful. It helps them scale too. But their farms are scattered. So from a farmer perspective, we look at 150 and then within 350 miles from our district is how we've kind of determined. But our goal was, in setting it that way, we didn't want to be too restrictive, because one of our goals was to see if we could buy organic options for the Dirty Dozen, which are produce that has traditionally high pesticide residue. So we wanted to sort of cast a little bit of wider net than to what would just be in season here in Sonoma County, just to see what our options would be in that regard. So that's why we framed it that way. Sure.
All right, I just want to
Great,
say that
thank you.
when we hired you, we knew you'd be transformational. And, you really have been. I'm really appreciative of all the work you're doing, and that your team is just amazing. It's our students are really benefiting from this. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate, that's kind of you. I appreciate that very much. And not to sound, but I will say that in this role, I am on a lot of calls with a lot of vendors like Eat Real who provide technical assistance to districts. And the first question they always ask is, do you need our help convincing the superintendent or convincing your board about why these changes? And we can skip right past that to the next stuff. So I appreciate that support as well. Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Wonderful. Okay, so we're going to take a very short 5-minute break so that the parents and families can hug their kids, and then we'll be back. Okay, so we'll be back at 6:50. Hey, David, we're gonna start our meeting. Our board meeting is back in session. And we will have comments from the public. I just have to read kind of what I always read about the public comment, kind of rules and how we listen. We do not comment, so just know that that's why there's no questions or follow-up, that we don't comment on public comment time. So under Government Code Section 54954.3A, members of the public have the right to address the governing board on any items of interest, providing it relates to the subject matter jurisdiction of the school district. While government code allows speakers to criticize the district's policies, procedures, programs, services, and/or employees, the district does have a policy, BP 1312.1, specific to complaints against employees. The topic of interest within the jurisdiction of the board. Should comments from the public pertain to a certain district employee, the board requests that the complaint first be submitted in writing to the employee's immediate supervisor for investigation. If the comment is about something that is not on the agenda, which this portion is about something that's not on the agenda, it will be heard only during the public comment on non-agendized items. Once that part of the meeting is over, comments will only be taken on agenda items during the discussion of those items. The board values public comments, and although we cannot take action or discuss items not on the agenda, we listen carefully and appreciate input from the public. Public comments are subject to a 3-minute per person limit or a 20-minute limit per subject matter. You'll all get 3 minutes because there's 5. I have 5. So that's within the 20 minutes per subject matter. Commenters may not cede their time to others. Okay, and we had a request that David Dines be first. It'll be up there, and then I'll give you a 30-second warning.
I'm David Dines. My wife and I recently moved to Petaluma 4 years ago. We live on Wendy Lane, just opposite Cherry Valley, and feel so fortunate to live in the neighborhood and to be a part of the community. And I think the recent site plan and middle school development, like many of the residents there, we were caught off guard. And I want to share quickly, there was a story when we moved here. We hosted a surprise birthday party for our 92-year-old neighbor, and we did it at Cherry Valley Park. And that has kind of set the tone for our relationship with the community and for the immediate area. And we spent a lot of time at Cherry Valley walking the dog. We use the park, as does everybody in the neighborhood. And so we've found out, I think later in the plans, the extent of the building plans. And I think the community now has quickly taken action to express our concerns. And so I have a few notes, but I think our goal is really to kind of keep neighbors informed, to amplify our collective voice, and to ensure that this expansion is carried out with real consideration for the people who live there, raise families there, and attend school there. We support the school and the students it serves. Strong schools make for strong communities, and we recognize the need for updated facilities. At the same time, we believe neighbors deserve a seat at the table in decisions that affect our safety, our streets, and our use of the public park space. Most importantly, we want assurance that all building locations were considered before the most recent plans were approved. And again, I walked past my neighbor yesterday on the way to the park. I said, "Hey, are you aware of the plans for the middle school?" He said, "Nope, haven't heard anything about it." So we gave him a flyer. There's a website now with more information, with the idea being that we would like a seat at the table and want to be aware of those plans. I think, I'm a designer. I understand how extensive those processes and how expensive those processes are to draft and to go through that kind of work to develop a site plan. And we're only now being made aware of the fact that that's going to be started. And as part of that process, we're going to lose the one park in our neighborhood. I drove by Sunday. There was a group of people having a barbecue. I stopped and chatted. The woman has kids who go to Cherry Valley Elementary. She had only just learned of the plan this summer as a parent of students at Cherry Valley. So My hope is, and I think others will echo this,
30
uh,
seconds.
that we can have, an open conversation about the impact that this is going to have on people who live in the immediate neighborhood, myself included. And, our goal is really to make sure that the voices of those most affected and that are heard, and that the balance of the community isn't disrupted, and that trust and support is held in high regard. So we appreciate your time, and thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Judy Carme. How do you pronounce it? Kerm. Oh, that wasn't even close. Sorry.
Petaluma High School. Okay, so the part that I'm going to be talking about today is the impact that the previous expansion at Mary Collins Cherry Valley School, excuse me, the previous expansion has had upon our neighborhoods. The traffic is gridlock nightmare. With the expansion in 2014, I had contacted Amanda Bonavere, who is one of the people who's in charge of the project. And I said, hey, are you going to do a traffic study for this expansion? And what were the results of the previous traffic study you did when you expanded the school back in 2014, and the traffic flows when you made the streets one-way, two-way, because they really changed the streets in the neighborhood? And she emailed me back and said, well, there was no traffic study then. So this traffic has had a huge impact. My street, I border around to the school. People park on the corners because there are no parking places when they have to go up and get their kid. They double park their cars, leaving the motors idling. They park in people's driveways. And so the previous expansion had a huge impact on the traffic in our neighborhood. And I know that there's a promise that this isn't going to increase the students at Mary Collins School, but I went back and looked at the statistics online. Since 2020, there have been 88 students added, with more students added every year. So there's 494 students, according to the stats I had in 2024, 2025, as opposed to 406 in 2021. I don't expect that trend of increasing students is going to stop, and so I'm kind of wondering why in the current EIR report, as we were told by our city councilman, they're really not going to do a study based on the impact of the traffic on the neighborhood. They're going to do a study based on the, what is it called? It's a vehicle miles traveled, which is how many people are going to be traveling to the site, which I think is really, it's of concern to us because it's already unmanageable, at least 3 times a day, and on special events in the evening. We can't park in front of our own house. It's unsafe to get in and out of my street and other streets because the cars are parked around the corner. They park right up to the stop signs. There's like now a 20-foot.
30
Oh,
seconds.
thank you. 20-foot, whatever the new law is, and that isn't being taken care of. And I really want to ask you to please consider doing the traffic study that looks at the impact of the traffic on the neighborhood, because we are already in a place where we can't get in and out of our of our driveways and our streets when school pick up and drop off, which is at least 3 times a day, 4 times when there are special events is happening. And it is a severe impact on us. So thank you very much for that. I'm done.
Thank you.
I'm done.
Dan D'Angelo.
Hi. I'd like to talk a little bit about Cherry Valley Park. If you were to go to the website for the Parks and Recreation Department, you would see that Cherry Valley Park is called a small neighborhood park with a picnic table. It's not exactly true. There actually is 2 large picnic tables, more than double, a barbecue, 3 permanent garbage cans, and it's the only shade in the area. As a matter of fact, Cherry Valley Park is the only green area in our neighborhood. Cherry Valley Park is used constantly. If you go by there at any time, you will see people playing fetch with their dogs, fathers playing catch with their sons, football, baseball. Of course, I should mention sometimes mothers with their daughters and their sons too. You'll see soccer teams practicing there, the little kids' soccer teams. You'll see people having picnics there. Sometimes there's large picnics. The folks next to us is a large immigrant family. It's the only green space in the area for them. They'll have, well, probably about once a month, have a large family barbecue. We've had neighborhood potlucks. The last one, as David mentioned, was for a potluck for a 92-year-old neighbor of ours. Now, this is the only green space in our area, and it's constantly used. I know that if you look on the plans, or you've been told that should Cherry Valley expand their footprint, that there still will be a green area that can be used. Well, according to the plans, it cuts off about 70% of the park, and that park will have a fence around it with a locked gate. But it can be used after hours, which is 6 o'clock, which is not all that convenient well, almost any time, but certainly in the winter. I know that you've been told, or you're under the impression, that the community was involved, that pieces of paper or flyers were sent out to the neighborhood. I live next door to Cherry Valley. Matter of fact, if you can straddle our border between the two of us, I did not get a notice. The lady across the street from us did not get a notice. The 3 people to the right of her did not get a notice. 4 houses to the left did a notice. There's only 2 people in our area. Thank you. I am just asking you to reconsider. I always have supported schools. I taught at Casa Grande for 28 years. My daughter-in-law teaches K1 at Cherry Valley Park. There is a lot of land in that area. We have not been part of the process. I just saw a quote here about Dostoevsky, about how much sadness there is in the world from what is left unsaid, and we've never had our voices in this process. Please reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you. Joy Rankin.
Hello. Okay, my name is Joy Rankin. I live at 860 Cherry Street, and I can see Cherry Valley Park from my house. And I was shocked to learn about the plans for replacing the park with a new building for the school, which I learned about from my son Gideon, who is in 8th grade at Mary Collins School. We have loved our time at Mary Collins. My son has received a great education there. I'm not against the school or the teachers getting a building. My issue is that there is room on the school campus for the building. Given this, I have a couple of concerns about locating the building in the park instead of up on the campus. First of all, I'm concerned about the children's safety being down by the street. I know you all know there's plenty of threats against schools these days, and having the children down by the street by trafficked, where the public will be walking on the landscaping right in front of them, seems a lot more dangerous than locating the building on the school campus. On the campus, the building will be surrounded by trees and other school buildings. The children will all be in the same vicinity where staff and teachers can supervise them. And they would be up away from the public. So it seems to me that there is a safety issue here that is not being addressed. Secondly, my understanding is that the only reason they are not building on the campus is because they would have to move the portables into the playground for the duration of the construction. So instead of putting up with this temporary inconvenience, the school has decided to diminish or eliminate a park that has been in the community for 50 years. This seems like penny wise, pound foolish thinking to me. It's important to preserve green space, especially now. Petaluma is vastly expanding as a community with little thought to preserving our agricultural heritage or the pastoral nature of our town, and I'm really sorry to see the school contribute to this. I know Cherry Valley Park seems small and unimportant, but it is a place of serenity and peace that is available to everyone. And that includes the wildlife. In the park, I have seen foxes, deer, gray herons, owls, raccoons, and many other animals. They are there because the park provides habitat that would be eliminated if you put a building there. My son Gideon is one of many children for generations who have grown up playing in that park running around on the hills.
30 seconds.
Climbing trees, building forts, and playing with the other kids. So I want to preserve that for the future, and it seems like we can find a compromise for preserving the park while giving the school the new building that it deserves. Thank you.
All right. Bill, is it Peterson?
First of all, congratulations on your positions on the student board, as students on the board. So good for you. The planned loss of increasingly rare publicly accessible green space should be an action of last resort. However, this is not the case with the recent approval of a site plan for Cherry Valley. While I have heard comments extolling the community involvement in this process, the reality for nearby residents is that there has been so minimal, it is effectively non-existent, and continues to be so. A dismaying view of civic engagement, and on the part of the school, a distinct lack of belonging to the residential community in which it resides. As neighbors, we have, on inquiry, heard vague references to shared open space, but no details. It is hard to imagine how the currently most used area of the park, being surrounded by a chain link fence, conveniently left out of the pretty architectural rendering, meets that definition. Taking away much of a well-used, well-loved, and only community park in the area would be a sad day indeed. I have a direct view of the park, and I see its use daily. Once taken away, it will never be replaced. I believe that the public should be informed as to what alternatives were explored or not explored, and why they weren't brought forth. This is a chance for the school and this board to be leaders in community engagement to correct this process, breaking away from what only seems to be tunnel vision exhibited thus far, and one can only hope resulting in a better and long-term outcome for the entire community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Peter Costas.
Good evening. My name is Peter Costas. I'm a trustee for Sonoma County Office of Education, and congratulations to your 3 new board members. As always, I really appreciate the work of trustees. It can be really challenging at times, but also very rewarding. In our county right now, we've got a few school districts that are under severe financial distress, and their boards are have had to make and are going to have to continue to make some really tough decisions. It's a real burden that trustees have, but that's what they're in there for. And I know your board has also had to make some tough decisions too. But you know what it really comes down to? It really comes down to what's in the best interest of students. You know, that's what when I was an administrator, that's what I always went back to. The next thing is on August 5th, a trustee from Santa Rosa City Schools, Jeremy De La Torre, maybe you know, and John Lofton from SCO facilitated a meeting on Zoom to see if there was interest in revitalizing a countywide trustee association that I didn't know existed maybe 15, 20 years ago. Chris Raffinelli was in charge of that way back then. I don't know he was that old. But the point is we had about 17 different districts in that Zoom call. A bunch of other trustees from districts called, wanted to participate, but it was on a Tuesday night when every district has their board meeting. So the purpose of this is to create an association where trustees from different districts can talk to each other, communicate to each other, maybe not feel isolated and you know, work in silos, support each other. And we're looking at, you know, quarterly meetings. The next meeting is going to be, and hopefully you'll get an invite. It's going to be on Monday, September 22nd at 5:30 p.m. It's going to be on Zoom. And again, it's just to keep this conversation going to see if there's any interest again in revitalizing this, you know, county association of trustees. And I'm sure our student trustees would be invited in that too. So again, thank you for your service.
Thank you, Peter. All right. Thank you all for coming and for speaking to us. I know it's really hard to do that. Okay, we're going on with the agenda now. We need the adoption and approval of the agenda.
I move to adopt and approve the agenda.
I second.
All those in favor?
Oh, did you want to?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion passes. Thank you. So now we're going to report on the activities and correspondence of school board members. I want our student board members to know that this is like what you've kind of done at your schools or over the past 2 weeks in between meetings. And so this is just, we just kind of mention them. If there's something that you want to comment on, we'd love to hear about what's going on at your schools. So this is your opportunity. We have a separate line item for student board members. So, you're welcome to say something tonight if you'd like, or usually I send out an email and then you guys just tell me what it is and then you can say what you'd like tonight during the meeting. Okay. Okay. I'll ask you at the end if you think of something. Okay. So for our regular board members, Ellen, the hero, went to Cherry Valley, McKinley PAX, Valley Vista, and Grant back to school nights. Very good. And you volunteered at the Petaluma Music Festival, which is a fundraiser for PCS music. Did it go well?
Oh, it went really well. It was very crowded. It was very crowded, great music, and the volunteers get to say which school they want. And since my grandson's in the band at Petaluma High, that was my school.
That's cool.
And it's a great fundraiser. I just wish that we didn't have to do things like that, that we were properly funded, especially the arts.
Very good. Here. Okay, and then we had you were at the crosswalk at McKinley, Joanna?
Crosswalk. It was really so SCO, any employee can volunteer up to 2 hours a week at any public school, and there's like a list, and I saw some of our elementary schools needed crosswalk help, and that's like my favorite thing to do. I actually miss that the most. Working on a site, I'm like, I will be in the crosswalk, which is dangerous. Okay, so I was at McKinley today, I'll be at McDowell tomorrow, and so I actually reached out to the city council person who represents that area. And so I invited her to come with me because I'm going to be back with her on Thursday, because we know that, safe routes to schools, they did walking studies. We've been asking for traffic studies of many of our schools. My kids were hit by a car in a crosswalk right by a school. It's been a problem for a really long time in our city, and we don't have control over the streets. And so I invited her to come and see the issues, because Latricia has really reasonable asks of the city to make it a little bit safer for the kids to cross the street. So great. I was
Yeah,
at a best.
and the task force did a whole walk audit, and the audit is available. So that would be all, we could share it. Yeah. Okay, fabulous. We went to the library opening, and it was,
Yeah.
it was awesome. Would you like to share?
It was it's been a long time coming, having cooped up a 3 and 5-year-old. We've been chomping at the bit to get back to the library. It is beautiful. It's extremely well done. I think there's so many amazing resources for families, students, all residents. And so really am thankful to the Sonoma County Library, the Friends of the Library, and several of our city council members who are there. Senator Mike McGuire sent staff, had a nice resolution for the reopening. Just very excited to start being able to use it again.
It's really, if you think about the old library and how it was dark, it had that horrible orange rug. And that rug was 50 years old. And when it wasn't very inviting, it had a wall, and then it had like two, and then an in door, and then an outdoor. That's all gone. And it's all glass, and it's a automatic door, and you walk in and it's light and airy. They've moved all of the circulation desk, so it's back in the It's really beautiful. They did an incredible job, and the children's department was the hit, definitely. I mean, it's just like, oh my gosh, it's just totally, I mean, I thought they had taken out walls because it was so much more open. And it was very exciting. It was really cool to be surrounded by library people, the coolest people in the world.
Yes.
And other than the people sitting here. So anyway, it was really a fun day. And I was glad to see Ryan there, who had a big hand in getting money for that, the rebuild. So it was very cool. And then I went on a very fun first day of school with Matthew and Dave and Amanda and Gloria. And it was really inspiring and really fun. And I want to do it every year, even when I'm not on the board. It was just quite inspiring. It looked like everybody was glad to be back. So how long that lasts, we'll see.
I got that same sense at back to school nights.
Yeah.
Lots of parents, beautiful classrooms, enthusiastic teachers. It was really heartwarming.
Good. Yeah, I know. I think it's great. And then I went to the CHIPA, which is, I believe, community health in the Petaluma area. There's a mental health and substance abuse group that's part of Healthy Petaluma. And they've kind of, since COVID, it's been kind of a off and on kind of thing. And so they're really, this whole meeting was a discussion about how to move forward with it. What is it going to look like? And Esmeralda was there also. And it's just, how do we revitalize the work of providing this kind of healthcare to our community? How can Healthy Petaluma be part of that? And so there was lots of really good ideas going forward. I'm going to continue to go if anybody else wants to go. I've been going since 2019, I guess, when we first got on the board. And it used to be a very different kind of thing. So I think they're really I think the suggestions were really good and bringing in so many more of the small community groups that are working, some of them just one person. So anyway, but one of the things, the reason I'm mentioning it tonight is that one of the things is that, of course, I suggested being on the school board, was getting students involved. Somebody else hadn't suggested, and I said that we have senior projects, we have, a healthcare pathway, we have the CTE, and I think it would be really good to have representatives on CHIPA and at Healthy Petaluma.
Mandy, I have a question. Since it was part of it was substance abuse, is there any talk about fentanyl on campus, Narcan training?
There used to be a lot, this was more, this wasn't as targeted to specifically mental health and substance abuse as it used to. Used to have just these small, and the Petaluma area included Sebastopol and, the county areas. And it would be like just, a very small nonprofit with maybe 2 employees that were reaching out and trying to do peer counseling, things like that.
Because there's an organization called Micah's Hugs, and what they want to do is they want to get Narcan into the schools, train people how to use them. It's called Micah's Hugs because their son Micah died from a fentanyl overdose on campus. So that's why I was just asking, because there are organizations out there that can really help us with that.
I think those are the kinds of organizations that they're thinking about bringing back. Okay. Anything else?
I got one more.
You got-
I was lucky enough to attend a town hall with Supervisor David Rabbit about traffic in the Pen Grove area.
Oh.
It focused on two intersections that don't involve us, but there was also smaller talk and a little bit of update of the Old Adobe and Petaluma Hill intersection next to Pen Grove Elementary. So I'm going to say the good news is for the first time, I think, ever, there will be some slowdown, element for the school zone. They're actually going to enforce like the 25 miles an hour around Pen Grove Elementary. So those are going to be going up along with additional, I think, radar signs to get people attempt for people to slow down around the school. Our favorite crosswalk, I think, is going to be slightly moved, so it lines up better with the ramp. And there will be additional signage around said crosswalk. But the bad news is the actual intersection itself. The county updated saying they're having issues with the surrounding landowners, so there will not be any near-term fixes to the intersection. So it's going to continue to operate as is.
Thank you. That's really interesting. That's good. First steps, right? Okay. Did you guys think of anything that you'd like to say?
I'm the ASB president at Petaluma High, so I have some insight into Petaluma High. First of all, I don't know if you guys were involved in the new courtyard for PHS, but it probably approving it. But it's beautiful and it actually like makes an impact. It like really beautified the campus. Everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, there's so many more tables to sit at. It's way easier to find a spot to like sit and chat. And there's high tables and short tables. And anyway, there's a place for everyone to sit now. And it's beautiful for ASB things. We do like lunch activities. So there's like a stage with anyway, so that's good. The neon dance, we have our back to school dance last Saturday or 2 Saturdays ago now, I guess. And it was the most attended neon dance we've ever had. And I feel like this school year is going to be super good for, I'm already noticing really good enthusiasm and engagement from students from ASB. So or just from the whole school towards ASB. We're doing spirit mornings for things like senior nights for like flag football, football, tennis, maybe sports like that. So basically ASB is gonna go out and like have speakers and dress in all out purple and like greet people and have signs and like run around the cars in the parking lot. We did that once last year and it was really fun. So that's fun. And then I'm also taking anatomy randomly, but I know there's some money towards like CTE pathways for like medicine, and we have a lot of new cool things in my anatomy class. So thank you for the money for that. That's what I have.
Thank you. Either one? Okay. Oh, yes, please, Ruby.
I would actually like to talk about something new that I feel like we could add into the schools, and it would be driver's ed, because I see that a lot of students right now can't afford to take the classes under the age, and some people can't always find rides to school, or like in my situation, I live like on a winery, so buses don't really go to my like house. So I feel like that might be a problem for some students. And I know back then we did have some classes for driver's ed, like back in the days, my mom when she went to school. And I believe, yeah. And I believe that if we brought that back, it would help our community be safe with drivers. It would help our students learn how to drive. And I go to San Antonio, and at my school, there's a lot of crazy drivers. Our students, they like to show off their engines, they like to go fast. And I believe if they actually learn the proper rules before getting on the road, that will make all of us safer and our community safer. But yeah.
It's a great idea. Thank you. Really good idea. Perfect. We're all busily writing it down. Thank you. Thank you.
I was
Yeah.
just gonna add to that. So we have an advisory now for I'm assuming all the schools, which is I have other things to say about that. But for driver's ed, I feel like it'd be really cool if there was like an option to take driver's ed like during advisory for sophomores, because pretty much everyone in that age group is trying to take driver's ed. So it'd be really cool if they could have like a few classes and just have everyone, maybe like just a few driver's ed programs could be like sponsored by the district, or they could like be partnered with us or something, and then just help kids get logged in, because a lot of people don't are just so behind on doing it. So yeah.
Excellent.
I actually have something else to add. So there is this like online course called Coastline Driving. I don't know the full website, but you could get scholarships from there. And I believe if we promote that more to our students, it could give them more opportunities than them having to find them on their own. Because I kind of found that on my own, and I feel like with little opportunities, kind of putting it like on our school grounds, little flyers or little announcements like that, I feel like it'll be easier for our students to get those opportunities to do.
It's a great idea.
Thank you. That's really great, really good things. 'Cause I know that that's where you guys are, is like safety and driving. And so this is really good information. Okay, so we're going to move on. We are now to comments from the public on consent items. Don't have anything yet. Seeing no public on asking for. When you get to it. And then we're done. Is it, no, okay, we're at 13, approval of the consent agenda by consolidated motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay.
Okay, now
Discussion.
now we'd like to talk about a slight change to the item 13.3.1, the bell schedule instructional minutes. So from the time it was originally posted until now, there have been some slight adjustments, some clerical items that have come up. And so I just want to highlight them because I think she's passing around the paper right now. This is the same item, correct, Amanda? This is what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I want to just highlight those because I want to make sure that we're voting on the accurate bell schedule. So these are times when students are entering class, when they have break, when they have lunchtime, when they get dismissed. That's what we call the bell schedule. So this is for elementary and for secondary. So if there were so typically we don't make any changes, but clerical stuff, I just highlight it for you guys and make sure that we're all voting on the same thing, making sure that the minutes are accurate. So I'm wondering if
I got all Kenilworth.
I don't think so. I'm wondering if Amy and Gloria, if you want to just take turns and just kind of share what were the small changes to these.
Sure. So it looks like some of the papers might have got mixed up, but Maddie, everyone should have a Valley Vista Public Waldorf and a Kenilworth.
And a Kenilworth.
Yes.
Okay.
So there was a change for the number of C days that are happening at Kenilworth. They have an amazing program coming to their school, and Whitney was working with the staff on if they should do that on their regular schedule. Sandra and I were able to be a part of that. And so they made an adjustment. They were doing C days and now they're just sticking with the regular schedule. So we're going back to what Whitney had. So no change in instructional minutes there. And then for Valley Vista Public Waldorf, we realized that the TKK teachers, even though they have a regular TKK lunch of 45 minutes, it was accidentally listed as 20 minutes, which of course we want to make sure our teachers, especially for TKK, are getting their full lunch. So that correction you'll see there for Valley Vista as well. And those are on the live link that was sent to you all on the Google Sheet. Everything's been updated there, but because it was a change that we made after the agenda was posted, we wanted to provide a paper copy. Sure. So Kenilworth had set, we have when A days and B days and C days are, they have a special program coming in to be working on school culture that's going to happen the first week of September. And so in the company that's working with them needs 2.5-hour blocks. And so they were thinking, we might have to go to do C days instead of AB days. But in some great conversations with Sandra, myself, and Whitney, we found a solution to keep the schedule as originally intended, which helps our staff, especially that's split between 2 sites, and our staff that works part-time. So it does not impact their schedules.
So the one that was listed on the agenda is not this one.
Right. You'll see 3 less C days and 1 more AB and 1 more B day. So the days stay the same, the minutes stay the same. It's just that where we list the date,
yeah,
we had to just make a change.
Got it. Yeah, got it.
Anything to add, Gloria? Or is that it? Okay, so just to be clear, everything was posted correctly on time in the agenda. These are just minor clerical errors. If we found a couple little things that, we need to make sure that you're approving the most accurate bell schedule possible that's going to be on the website. So.
Perfect. Thank you. Good job. All right. Any other discussion about the consent agenda? All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? The motion passes. We are now going to 14, comments from the public on action items. Oh, we have a bell. Action. Seeing no one wanting to comment, we're going on to 15 action items. 15.1.1 resolution of the Latino Heritage Month.
So I just want to bring this, add to this. This is something that we've done in years past, and Trustee Williams and Trustee Quinn worked on this resolution. So I don't know. Typically, we read it into the record. I don't know, Ryan, if you want to read it, or happy to read it for you.
Happy to read it.
Okay.
All right, resolution of the Board of Education of the Petaluma City Elementary and Petaluma Joint Union High School Districts for declaring September 15th, 2025 to October 15th, 2025 as Hispanic Heritage Month. Whereas Hispanic Heritage Month is a month to celebrate and pay tribute to the contributions that generations of Hispanic Americans have made to American history, society, and culture through their contributions in sciences, arts, government, and commerce. And whereas Hispanic Heritage Month begins on September 15th and ends October 15th to coincide with the independence dates of 5 Latin American countries that declared their independence from Spain in 1821, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. Whereas the United States Latinx and Hispanic population comprises 60.4 million people, or 18.5% of the population, and 22.76% of the population of Petaluma. Latinx or Hispanic communities continue to contribute significantly to the political, economic, and social development of our city, our state, and our nation. And whereas each year Americans are encouraged to deepen their understanding of the Latinx community by celebrating the histories, cultures, and contributions of Americans whose ancestors represent pre-Columbian civilizations, including the Olmec, Maya, Zapotec. Oh, I'm gonna, some of these I have not sorry, I don't have pronounce, but Mixtec, Aztec, and Inca, demonstrating kingdoms, empires, sophisticated cities, intellectual accomplishments, and vibrant indigenous cultures developed in parts of Mexico, Central and South America before Spanish conquest. And whereas Petaluma City School District recognizes the diversity represented with Latinx communities such as Black and Indigenous Latinx populations, and commits to creating spaces where the identities of these students are represented and celebrated year-round. Whereas the Petaluma School Board of Education recognizes that each student needs an opportunity to understand the common humanity underlying all people, to develop pride in their own identity and heritage, and to understand, respect, and accept the identity and heritage of others. And whereas the Petaluma School District continues its commitment to eliminating barriers that prevent our Latinx students from receiving equitable access, and whereas the History Social Science Framework for California Public Schools, kindergarten through grades 12, states that the history curriculum of community, state, region, nation, and world must reflect the experience of men and women of different racial, religious, and ethnic groups, and must be integrated at every level. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Petaluma City Elementary and Petaluma Joint Union High School Districts Board of Education proclaims September 15th, 2025 to October 15th, 2025 a Hispanic Heritage Month.
Excellent.
I move to approve.
I will second.
Any discussion?
So I think just the next steps, just so everyone's clear. So we will take this if approved, we'll take this resolution, send it out to all staff in the district. We will encourage our principals, our ASB leaders, our student leaders to promote this. So from September 15th through October 15th, recognizing this as Hispanic Heritage Month and celebrating the amazing contributions of our this subgroup of our population.
Excellent. Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The resolution passes. Yay. Okay, 15.1.2 Memorandum of Understanding Approval between PCS and Old Adobe Union School District for the Petaluma Regional Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Residency. I actually asked this to be placed on action because I want to highlight that we're doing this.
Yeah, this is so
If it's passed.
So this is a continuation. It was on the consent agenda. Trustee Cloud asked to pull it out just to sort of highlight it and share a little bit about what we're doing. This is a continuation of a grant that's been going on that includes Sonoma State University, Old Adobe, and Petaluma City Schools. I'd like to have Jason just share a little bit more about it. He's been
Yeah, so this is one of two residency grants we have. This one we are the lead on. We are the lead agency working with Sonoma State, and then we work in partnership with Old Adobe. Our other one is a secondary grant for STEM where where Santa Rosa City Schools is the lead, and we partner with them for our secondary teachers. So both these programs have been great. This one in particular is geared towards our elementary classrooms. The last 2 years, we've added a special ed component to it, and we've been prioritizing this current year some of our really early childhood positions. So we've been increasing. We see a huge need for our TK teachers, and so we've been adding more residency positions in that area as well. So it's been very successful. We've hired some of our teachers out of that program, which is what it's designed to do. Not all, we don't have as many positions as we have residents, but it's great because we can have candidates that may not have the ability to quit their jobs and do volunteer student teaching to now get paid to become teachers. So it means more people have access to this opportunity in this program, and that we can then work with them to enter into a partnership with us, or as I tell them, like, if it's not us, we want to get you into whatever that next step is, because we always need more teachers and adults that care about kids.
Is this the CDE grant or a federal grant? And that's the first part. And then is there a chance for renewal since it ends at the end of this school year?
I'd have to go, so it's not so simple. It is a state grant. There's pieces where they've been talking about renewal, and then some of those are like, is it on, is it not on? So that remains to be seen. There's also a piece where we don't have as many residents as we intended. Like most of the programs across the state are experiencing similar situations. And so that means we have more funding. And so we'll actually be able to extend our funding longer than what it looks like. So we'll get at least one extra year, maybe a little longer, because the funding will be in place. And we didn't go to capacity each year. So we had this block amount and we didn't use it all. So we'll be able to stretch it out a bit.
So it's not the
This was administered through the state. I don't know. I came in after it was already started. Maybe Amanda might know. No, I don't know I would know the budget resource code.
It's a CDE grant. CDE, California Department.
It's a state thing. I don't know if they were connected with the federal. I don't think it was. I think it was mainly state, and it was run through the CDE.
Even our federal funds or grants are ran through the CDE.
Yeah, that's what I'm not sure what if there is another connection from the federal level. Yeah.
I just have a clarifying question, because I remember the discussion about what it means to be a residency. And we were envisioning dorms in the gym. And so could you clarify what the definition of residency is?
I don't know if there's a technical one in the grant.
Oh, no,
We talk
no,
about
just like what it really
when we talk
means.
about residents, so we still have student teachers from other institutions, and when they come, they are in a program and they are doing some student teaching, and that's a volunteer process. In the residency, there's finances and additional training for the the prospective teachers, they're the residents, and they're having a residency at that school and within our district. And there's a partnership that's more concrete than in a traditional student teaching where it's just a placement. So there's a bigger relationship. Like we have an outlined agreement with the resident as a district that says they will not take a job with another district before this date. And we agree that we will guarantee you an interview for anything you're qualified for. So we have some agreements that aren't in place with student teachers. So that's what it means to have a residency within our district, is more agreements and the financial support that is along with it. In addition, there's financial support and additional training for our mentor teachers that are supporting the residents.
Well, thank you. I know mentor teachers don't get stipends for student teachers, at least through Sonoma State. So,
They do for this.
and that's great.
Yeah,
They should,
they
because
should.
they do extra stuff.
They do, yeah. Yeah.
All right. Any more questions? Okay, I need a motion.
I move to approve.
Second.
Any other further comment? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes. Thank you. I think it's just awesome, so hope it can continue. All right, we're moving on to 15.3.1, Education Services, overnight field trip request for approval.
Yes, so we have an overnight field trip request from Cherry Valley to attend Camp Caritas, which is a 4-night, 5-day trip. The cost will be covered through a variety of funding sources, including site funds, PTA, parent donations. All students will be able to attend regardless of whether they're able to donate. And so we're requesting approval for the field trip request.
Yes.
Any questions? Okay, I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, they are going on an overnight field trip. Thank you. All right, we're going on to comments, number 16, comments from the public on discussion information item. Seeing no one coming forward, we go on to 17.1.1. Board member office hours for 2025, 26, and what
So,
would my favorite?
so in the past, several years, we've had board member office hours where one or two board members would go out to each site, in the fall and then in the spring. Really, the idea was to support open communication and collaboration. So there was some community input. I think you all talked about this last year, is my understanding. And the proposal or the idea is to host, 2 locations in the fall. So one on the west side, thinking about Petaluma High School, one on the east side at Kenilworth, and then in the spring, flipping it would go to Casa and Petaluma Junior, so that there's ample opportunity for people on either side of town to go in and meet with board members. Or we can go back and say, no, we want to go to every single school and host board office hours. It's up to you. This is just a discussion item to kind of gauge what you all are thinking and how you'd like us to organize the office hours for this year.
So if we did the 2 in the fall, would they be after school? Because what we did in the past was we would do one very early in the morning and then one right after school. So I'm just curious.
That's the conversation. I think it's up to you. It's up to you. It's up to the board on how you want to organize this. You could do one in the morning, one in the afternoon. Where did you get the most engagement? If the idea is to support open communication and engagement with families, you tell me what you want to do.
I feel like this is really geared towards secondary. I think we would need an additional day or maybe
2
for elementary and have it on an elementary school campus. And
Sure.
I like the idea of having it just at one spot, but maybe having it here.
Sure.
Um,
And I think the idea too is that we can help to advertise this to people and say,
See, that's the
just because
thing.
it's at Petaluma High School, it doesn't mean that it's only for Petaluma High School. You can say Grant, McNair, Valley Vista, any school that wants to. You could even be, if you're at Casa or at McDowell, Kenilworth, if you want to come to one of these nights because it fits your schedule, you can come and we advertise it to families and say, I think you get some sites I know that board members have gone to and there's no one there, or
Right.
maybe it's a passing teacher or maybe a parent who just kind of sees it last minute, but to really advertise it and say, here are the times that you're going to be, that at least one or two board members will be there to hear from the community. So I don't really, it's up for you, up to you guys how you want to do it.
My issue is that a lot of times when you do board office hours, they are specific to that school. So people come in to talk to you about issues at their school. And I'm just envisioning a free-for-all. I mean, how do you personalize those office hours? So if some, if there's some people from Grant who really have some issues and they're there with a bunch of elementary, do they get their issues heard? That would be my concern.
I think it's just how you structure your time with people. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess when I was mentioning elementary, was that we have 7 schools
Yes.
on the west side, and then, 2 secondary schools. So it just seems like it's really not an even distribution of 2 and 2. We need to have, just because the elementary schools are mainly on this side of town. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to avoid that. I just know that everybody is working also, except for me. I thought you were at the Sonoma State.
Well, I am, but I make my own schedule.
Oh, okay. So, and so we really try to always attend the office hours, but I want to be able to make sure that everybody else has an opportunity to do it too. So I'd like to hear from the worker bees and how they see this and not having it be problematic, which sometimes it has been in the past where we do become like targets. Brian?
I think this is, I think this is a start. We can revisit, and I do hear we should have the elementary schools. I do think at, another elementary school site per semester, and then, then it's up to us to potentially, swing by the PTA meetings and,
Yeah.
or to have
Yeah.
provide notice, and that we're not just limited to these events. So it's kind of, then we can, make our, do our best for availability.
I need some time to think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we need some more time.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Can digest this and
Yeah,
maybe,
just try to.
maybe work through Maddie, and Maddie, we can,
Yeah.
you and I can bring a proposal for the next
Yeah.
one with some
think-
ideas.
I believe that Babs is coming to approve the. Anyway, we were going to go over the priorities again.
Yes,
And so we could maybe start running through maybe how this might work.
sure.
Oh,
Okay.
you're gonna go, oh, Ruby,
Thank you, Ruby.
welcome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you. We don't see you.
Thank you.
Okay.
We'll be in touch.
Love the balloons.
Yeah, I do too. Very pretty.
Okay, we'll bring,
Excellent. Okay.
we'll communicate and bring
We'll
something back.
talk. And if you guys have anything that you're thinking about, then just email me and Matthew.
Okay.
All right, now we have 17.2.1 meal reimbursements. Do we have any?
It's not true. Oh, yeah. Jason did. I did.
You, Dave. All right, this evening I'm bringing forward our current rates for our meal reimbursements for travel and conference compared to other districts in our area and what the state average is. Though we are seeing, or we will be seeing less travel and conference now that our education of educator effectiveness funds expired. We will still have travel and different conferences throughout the year. And the feedback that we've been receiving from staff that are attending conferences is that they're finding it difficult to find meals. A lot of times, if you're in downtown Sacramento, you can only go where the convention center is, and people are having to pay higher rates than what we allow. So I just wanted to bring this to the board for discussion about, though you do approve the board policy, the amounts are part of an exhibit on our travel and conference application forms, which are attached. So we could move forward with the change with direction. Yes, so we're mid-range and we actually fall in line with it's like the California average. Oh, there we go. But there are, if you can see, though we're mid-range for lunch, for breakfast and lunch. We're a little low on dinner. So overall, but I think where we see a lot of the feedback is specifically around our lunch. We have far less breakfast because either the hotel includes it or a lot of conferences include breakfast or people eat before they leave. But I would say for the most part, what we reimburse is the lunch meals. And then another piece of conversation is districts vary on if they allow tipping to be included in the amount. Some districts, our past practice has been up to the amount. So if it's for lunch for $15 and up to 15%. But there are districts that do not allow tipping to be included in the total.
So you say it's a 75 per diem instead of, because sometimes you might just want a bagel for breakfast and that's $5 and then you want to go out for a nice dinner. So wouldn't it be easier to just do that average rather than setting sites for each meal?
So we have a lot of issues getting the information that we need to even reimburse what we do. We do require itemized receipts because there are things that are not legally allowed to be purchased with state taxpayer funds that I worry that if we just did an amount it would create a lot more work to determine if it is really allowable or not. We already are looking at agendas and there's quite a bit of work that goes into it. So my worry is we already have to look at timing and things like that for when meals are purchased. It could create a lot more work by just saying, you can have this much for the day.
Well, what about if you take some off of breakfast and add it to lunch?
We could do that, or
I mean, $15 for breakfast is nice. I mean,
yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, we could look at doing that and maybe increasing, making breakfast $10 and increasing lunch even to 20 to offset some of it, or leaving breakfast and increasing lunch
Do you
to
have
$20.
Do you have any strong feelings about?
If we should increase our current rates.
Well, I think we should look at the average and increase it to the average for lunch and dinner.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, someone's gonna say something. Were you? I just had a question. Okay, so basically it's $54 for the meals, but then plus 15, so it's really $69 a day? Is that what that is? Underneath it says when an employee attends.
That is for, that's for
Was
San
that San
Rafael. It
Rafael?
looks like it
Okay.
went up instead of down. Yeah, we were just trying to give some information. Yeah, that's for incidentals. We do not cover incidentals.
So do you know how much people were going over before and how, you know what I mean? 54,
It's
but they said
really, I think
60.
there are a lot of people that go out of their way to make sure that they stay at or under right around the amount. So the reimbursements that we see probably do not answer that specifically. It's the most I do see is at lunch.
I don't know. I have a real problem with just our budget situation in general and then increasing. You know, I know that it's really hard and I know that people that need to go to these conferences, you know, need to be reimbursed, but I just think we need to stay within the budget here. I just feel very uncomfortable about doing that, but that's just me. I don't eat breakfast. I bring my own.
I'm fine with, checking in with our labor partners about their recommendations and, I see where we're below the state average or like I don't know, comp average. So we should, evaluate.
So
the-
this has come up at EERC. That is one of the reasons why I
Mhm.
was bringing it for discussion.
Yeah. I mean, if it's, work-related expense, I mean, we should do what we can.
Can you share a little bit about what was brought up at the ERC? Like,
Yeah,
was it,
the-
I guess was the conversation, because I wasn't there, but was the
Yeah.
conversation to increase a little bit, or was the conversation
So
the same, or?
it was on it came up, it was on the EERC agenda at the end of last year. And I think Sandra and I had talked before, we receive a lot of, I receive personally a lot of emails about it. And about the rates when people come back that they do not cover their meals. And I'm often asked to make exceptions, which we do not. So I thought and I think it's on the agenda for EERC this week too. So it was great timing to start the conversation at this level to see if it is a change that the board is interested in making.
I wonder if we have the conversation in ERC and bring back to the next board meeting a recommendation for any changes that, because I don't, is there a recommendation right now?
So my recommendation would be to either increase lunch to $20. That's where we see, so increase it by 5, or go to, I wouldn't reduce breakfast, we're a little bit over the average at 13 over 12.20. So we could increase lunch and dinner to the state average. So one of those two would be my recommendations. It equals about a $5. We're about $5 below the state average.
And Jessica had a comment.
Yeah, I believe you said that a lot of people kind of flock to the same places to eat. Have you tried looking at the prices of the places? So like everyone wants to go to Starbucks for breakfast. Their sandwiches kind of run at like $7.45, I believe. So you can kind of estimate the costs on what is most popular that people go to, maybe. I don't know.
That's a great idea. Our travel is actually all over the United States. So I was speaking specifically, recently people went to Sacramento, so that was what I heard about, but I'm not exactly sure where they eat around there, but looking at that is a great idea. Some districts do have, to Jessica's point, they have regional allowances depending on where the location is. And that's what the reimbursable rate is. It is not something we have really looked at though. Mhm.
Yeah, I have one more. So you hinted on, and I've dealt with this, and I'm gonna take off like most of my day on Friday to do reimbursements. You know, it's an awful process, but if our labor partners or you like or anyone else has like ways to help streamline reimbursements, because that's another way to ensure folks who don't get frustrated with the process and then just eat the whole cost. But sure we have, you know, best practices and anything we can do to make it as easy as possible to get the reimbursements for our employees. That's something else I would.
So we've worked over the last 2 years on written processes and policies. And I think as things come up, we continue to change them. What we require is what is required by law for the audit. We don't require anything outside of that. So, but we do, I feel like we have, I'm looking at, where's Tony? Him and I worked on this a lot together. But we do now have, there's a position within the district office that is shared by business and ed services. And actually this is one of the main things that she does, because most of the travel and conference actually comes from ed services and comes to business last. So that actually totaling all of that. So we've worked really hard to have a process and a person who knows and is now doing the outreach to employees to help get all of those messages across.
I would just really like to see a recommendation.
So my recommendation was to increase by $5. So increase lunch to $20 or to update closer to this average, which would we could bring lunch up by $3 and dinner up by $2.
This is a discussion item,
Yeah.
so maybe if you could just come back to the next meeting with a recommendation like that.
Sorry,
It's not action tonight, so we can't take.
well, so this is not, so
It's
this,
board policy.
this is not in our board policy. It's an exhibit that we use, and that the last time it was updated, it was just a discussion too. The amounts are not actually written into our board
So you
policy. So I was
want us to
asking
do it
for,
tonight?
or I can come back with more information. Yes.
So how do we feel about doing it tonight? Increasing
by $5.
$5.
Yeah.
I would just like to keep PCS breakfast, but increase the lunch and dinner to the national average. I think would be a good compromise.
I'm fine with $5 and defer to our employees about how they would want to see that allocated.
How about if I take both options, either increasing lunch and dinner or just lunch by $5 to both of our labor partners and look for consensus?
That would be great.
Okay, perfect.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, you're still up there.
Yes.
We have 17.2.2 transportation.
Yeah.
It's like a zombie. Never goes away.
And this time I have a guest. So for transportation, this is really a twofold discussion. So at I believe our last board meeting, I was asked to bring back the policies on for our current policy is parent drivers within 22 miles. And then also what our insurance requirements are for our parent drivers, and then the amounts of what we gave for transportation to sites for last year versus this year. So I would like, this is up, but we're going to start with the insurance piece of it. So I would like to invite Sandy, who is the executive director of RESIG, up to help with the conversation.
I'm just gonna go over what our recommendation was. We'll do that. So, as you know, we insure all of the school districts in Sonoma County, including one in Marin, which is Shoreline. And we were asked for a recommendation on what we thought the insurance coverage should be. We did give this out. This is as of 2 years ago. So this is actually, in my opinion, ready to be updated again. And it was increased to 500,000 per vehicle for auto liability. So that's going to cover all of the passengers in the vehicle. And then for property damage, 100,000. And we also may have a requirement for uninsured motorist coverage, which is pretty standard in all auto policies. And for medical payments, 10,000 per person in the vehicle. And that coverage is regardless of fault. And I know there were some questions about those recommendations.
Is that going to be a huge expense to increase your insurance by that much?
It would depend what your insurance is now. A lot of factors go into that. I do know from my past in working at AAA that if you want to increase your rates for one day, you can do that to drive on a field trip. And a lot of parents don't know that. So that helps out a lot for parents that want to drive on field trips.
So can you say what the,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, can you say what the amounts were again? Because I thought it was 300.
It was, that was my question. I think it's currently 300, correct?
At one time it was 300. Go ahead.
Like last year it was, because that's what I turned into the district. So.
Yes,
is
so
it
this is our
500,000
current
now?
recommendation.
Okay.
I know it used to be 100,000 per person, 300,000 max. So it's only really going up 200,000. But if you think about it, if you have a minivan full of kids, it's really still not a lot of coverage.
How do we make parents aware that they can just up it for one day if they don't know that?
What we have done is we've let districts know, because parents do call and ask that question. It's something that you could attach to when you send out that field trip sign up information. A little extra page on there saying, hey, if you don't have this coverage and you really want to be a part of this and drive on this field trip, here's what you can do. Call your insurance agent and find out if they can give you that rate for one day. And then you just bring that certificate in for the one day coverage, obviously matching the date of the field trip, and then you're covered to drive on the field trip.
I think for secondary families, that will be an issue if they're driving to athletic events, especially if we change, now that we have to change the transportation policy, since it sounds like we can't afford to have buses for everything. So I can just see that as being a barrier, because I know people were saying it was an issue to increase to 300,000, but now we're asking them to increase to 500,000 for how long? Like for a season, for multiple seasons?
So there's been some confusion about when the rates changed. About a year ago, through an audit, it came to our attention that we were not using the most updated rate, and we changed it then. What I have found out over the last couple of months is that some old forms were still being used at sites. So there's been inconsistencies at the site level on what amounts were being required. And the other piece that so our practice has always been to follow RESIG's suggestion. And I was hoping that Sandy could also speak to the impacts on if we choose to not follow RESIG's.
Please. It could be a situation when there is a claim, but you have to remember these guidelines are set up to protect the district. Because if you do have someone out there that has the minimal limits, and like I said, you have that minivan full of kids and the person's distracted, which you get a bunch of kids in the car, it could happen. Say you run a red light, hit another vehicle, and there's people in that vehicle injured also, and there's $500,000 for the injuries to go around. And nowadays that is just not enough. We don't have a hard, fast, we're going to deny your claim right now, but I'm sure that's in discussion with our excess carriers, because these claims are getting into the excess layers of our coverage, and they're really watching the auto claims, which have been actually pretty high. Everybody thinks that it's more of the sexual assault molestation claims are really high right now. It's more auto traffic accidents.
Yeah, I'm totally in favor of us doing whatever's safest for families. So then what are our next steps? Because right now it's at 300,000. I know, because I turned in the form a year ago.
And did you find the form? Because if you
It
pull
was
up
given to me by.
if you pull up our policy that is on our district
I can share the email with you
website,
after the fact.
it is our board policy.
I believe you, and that has not been my lived experience. Okay. I'll just keep it like that. So then how do we get in compliance with RESIG's recommendations? I know that when we did data confirmation, that was one of the things filled out. It was confusing. Okay. And when you do the athletic clearance, there's also a part of that too about parent drivers. So it sounds like all of that is now irrelevant. So then how do we go about, because the sports season has already started. So then how do we get in compliance and make sure students are safe?
I think probably from my office should send out a parent square to all staff and all parents, to everyone, with what our requirements are, what the process is for becoming a driver, along with information on a little blurb about being able to update your rates for a day or a week or a season, with some information about that too.
Does this apply to student drivers?
That is a great question. This is specifically for parents or guardians who are driving either on a field trip or athletes to sporting events, as a for driving not only their own students, but other people's students. So for our students who drive on campus or to campus, or if parents are driving their own child to the field trip or to the athletic event, this insurance is not required.
Okay, because I am signing a form just like that for my child development field studies. My teacher, Miss Richards, she gave it to me saying if you would like to drive yourself, and they actually had the statement that you gave. That's why I was kind of curious about that. Yeah. We can't drive other kids, but we are allowed to drive ourselves. Had she gave that
With
form.
parent permission,
With
correct?
parent permission, and then putting the insurance on it and stuff like that. Yeah.
Perfect.
And then remember, in California, the liability follows the registered owner of the vehicle, so that's really important too.
Yeah.
You guys have any more questions for me?
Well, one way, I think there was, what we can do to avoid surprises and have a transition period to updating. So whether it is starting January 1 to 500,000 or whatever we can do to have like, not to all of a sudden just have like 2 weeks from now, I know we have to update the policy and stuff like that, but just like, I want to ensure that there's
Quite a
several.
few of our schools are, that's why I'm not sure if you have received emails. We have received parent emails. So there are schools that are already following the 500,000.
I don't understand where this $500,000 policy is.
It is on we update our forms annually. It's on our forms, but it's also on our.
So we don't have to approve this either?
No, so this is our current policy. It's our board, it is on,
Where
it
did
is
the
our
300,000 come from?
That's
You
an
said it was
old,
last
it's an
year.
old rate. So the RESIG rate changed 2 years ago during an audit, or at
Oh.
least
I
2
thought it
years
was a year
ago.
ago.
We updated a year ago when we found out we were out of compliance.
So when did this update happen?
October of 2024.
Why are you bringing this?
Because when we talked about,
But
so this,
it's already done.
so when we talked about the bringing back the transportation policy, I had also mentioned we had been getting a lot of questions about this. So I brought back every piece of the policy. So there's the board policy and the
I
AR.
received phone calls last year as
Yeah.
well from parents because they called the district and somehow they said, oh, we need to call Resi, call Skinny. So I was.
Wait, I need your number, Sandy. I get your number.
Last year, so last year we had a lot of those phone calls. And once I explained to the parents, they understood. And I did advise those parents they could call their agent and get on for the one day. So, yeah, so those calls were kind of coming to our office.
I think because since we had to make reduction,
Right.
which means we don't have enough money to support our current policy of the 22 miles, now we have to allow we have to allow parent drivers, and so we have to make sure that they have the right coverage. switched, am I on the right track so far? And so then goes back to what Ryan was saying, like, what's our transition? Because the seasons have already started. Are we now allowing parent drivers over 22 miles with the $500,000 policy? Is the question mark. That's my question. Are we now allowing parent drivers with the $500,000 policy over 22 miles? And is there a limit? 22 to, I don't know, 50 miles? What are we doing?
So currently, we're still following the policy of 22 miles. And depending on the site, the 300 or the 500,000 insurance
Let's
apparently.
say 500.
But, so whenever anything comes to my office, we give the 500,000. We still follow the 22, but in the July board meeting, we were asked to bring this back to start the discussion of, are we going to extend the 22-mile radius? This is definitely a part of it. It does come up a lot.
And yeah, this
Yeah.
is something that comes up a lot, parents. And so I think this is a discussion item here to say, do we want to look at that? Do we want to look at?
Do we have a reoccurring like focal point, like I don't know, Vacaville, where it's just like it's actually 40 miles is like what is like the common
Yeah.
denominator?
American Canyon.
So I was going to say for the 22 miles, that radius was selected for Napa American because it's a dangerous road. But what we are finding is the overnight field trip that was just approved to Occidental is 25 miles from Mary Collins. So, and it's on basically the highway. So I think when we originally did the 22 miles, it was looking at that. There's been a couple other field trips that it's come up down to Marin or Sausalito
San Francisco
area. So those are the places that those are the two areas outside of the 22 miles that come up. Other than that, I would say that the secondary schools for athletics did a really good job explaining and working on the process that and they go all over, but other than if there was trouble finding a bus or having to get a charter for the cost, I didn't get a lot of feedback or information. If the principals received a lot of information, they graciously did not give it to me.
So do we need to look at increasing the mileage for a parent driver beyond 22 miles? And is that something we would do?
Well, that's why I believe I was asked to bring this policy back, was to determine that. And I do have a little bit of information on the allocations that we're still giving this year that we can move on to unless anybody had any more questions for Sandy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for staying.
Good. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Pressing the button.
So these are transportation allocations for school.
Yeah. All right. Can we? Yeah. So when we made the reductions at our July board meeting, one of the areas that was reduced were in the area of athletics and transportation. So I wanted to share where our allocations were, what we gave each site last year versus, so fiscal year 25. For the most, do you guys need that? Bigger?
I got mine up.
Yeah, I just need to, I just need to bring that.
Okay, so, once we were given once the decision was made to reduce, in athletics and transportation, we went through and reallocated for fiscal year 26. And, the reductions for transportation were not made at the primary level. One of those decisions were because, there were so many, they were taking the bulk of the staffing cuts with the elimination of reading specialists and TOSA APs. There is a difference of $10,000 between last year and this year. That is because Valley Vista, they received $8,000 as Valley Vista Public Waldorf School with more student enrollment. They are at $18,000. So you can see for the most part, the Kenilworth and Petaluma Junior were reduced from 15,000 to 10,000, and this includes the busing portion for athletics too. And then Casa Grande and Petaluma High School received $40,000 last year, and we reduced it to 25,000. San Antonio was left off the spreadsheet last year, though they did receive $1,000, so we just updated that. And then Carpe and Sonoma remained the same. We also reduced Petaluma Accelerated Charter by $1,000. And though we have an additional class at the dual language immersion program, we did not increase. So they would have received $2,000 this year. So okay, yeah, so as we have been closing out the books, what we have found is that all of the funds were basically all utilized. A couple sites went a little over and some went a little under. We were lucky enough to be able to do quite a bit of the transportation in-house. It's still at a cost. We are down a couple drivers at the beginning of this year, and we have increased some of our home to school or school to school routes for special services and SOCC. So right now we are already needing to contract some of the athletics out to, luckily, First Student has been able to take those on. They're much cheaper than a charter. And then we will be looking at charters when district vehicles and First Student is not available.
So this is our additional contribution. Do we know how much, because I know we've talked about this before, we've had a hard time getting the totals, how much like the boosters clubs are contributing to the busing costs?
I don't have that number. We've requested it. Unfortunately, we're finishing, closing out fiscal year 25 in the next 2 weeks. When I bring back unaudited actuals in September, I will have the total cost of what our sites paid. And we know what we paid as a district, and then we'll be able to use that to see, was it PTA, was it boosters? But I can work with the sites to get that specific breakdown.
All right, any other questions?
So now what do we?
Yeah, so I'm very clear about.
So at the last board meeting, it was a future discussion. I was asked to bring by, I believe, Ms. Vaughn.
So maybe
Maybe.
presentation would have been.
But
Because
so to bring the board policy back
Yeah,
for,
but it's not really bringing it back, well, you'd have to bring back the policy so that we can change it if we're deciding to increase the 22 miles,
But I
right?
think that's the discussion for tonight is,
Okay.
are you interested in
Okay, I
increasing?
thought it was the $500,000.
It plays into,
Got it.
yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
Well, I would say yes, let's evaluate again to see if we can avoid some of the issues with just like being slightly outside, to try to catch and be more responsive to parents and the schools. Whether we want to start counting outside the city limits and that's where it starts, or if we want to get a couple extra miles, but we should, I think, slightly adjust it, especially as we're putting more on parents. And then two, you mentioned having a communication or a couple communications to parents to remind them of the $500,000 level, making sure everyone has the correct form, I guess. And the options of contacting your auto insurance company, or potentially there's a couple of standalone, you can buy 1-day insurance, just like some options for folks so they know how to do it.
Okay. So to bring back more information on what is currently the 22-mile radius, if we're looking at extending it, is the goal still to not have parent drivers drive to Napa and American Canyon? Is that in Napa?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Napa County, because we could look at if it's on the highway, the 101.
I think it has to be connected to the reductions that we have here. I mean, I don't know what we can't, I mean, if we're saying that Napa and that we're still gonna provide transportation for those areas and we really can't, then we should increase the miles.
Without limitations.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm hearing.
So back,
Because this is a big reduction, and so I don't think we have the money to really, and that's why we agreed to reduce it. So I think so do you want, okay, so point of order here. I need some, kind of,
I don't know.
I'm trying to figure out, do we just bring back a recommendation of like 50 miles?
Why don't we
If-
look, Amanda, why don't we look and see?
No, 25, 35? 35?
I mean, I
mean,
like the idea of at least including like Napa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of at least including Napa.
And American Canyon.
Yeah, an American Canyon.
We can check in with the school
yeah.
sites and see where
Yeah.
where the pain points are.
But driving to
And then
Middletown.
we'll bring back a
You
recommendation.
should not be having people
Yeah.
drive to Middletown.
To get buses too, or we have parents who may be willing to drive, who may be willing to drive there and are much further outside of that.
Also, it seems like the size of the sport itself had a lot to do with the difficulty of the buses. So I remember water polo was big. Okay, so is that clear that we would like to have that?
We'll bring a recommendation, yes.
Okay, a recommendation back. Thank you. Sorry that I was confused.
that's okay.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, and now we have student services. 17.4.1, regulation 6164.6, identification and education under section 504.
That must be an old agenda. We removed it prior to publication.
I don't know where I got it then.
Oh, here's something.
No, it was on mine, so never
Sorry,
mind.
that might-
All right, we will go on to number 18, future business.
Yes. Transportation policy.
Anybody would like? future
Transportation
business?
policy. I would like to start it off we have had a lot of budget changes and potential, I think we need to start the highlighting and identifying where are going to be the pain points if things don't, go our way this November. And start making sure that we are starting up that process earlier and having as much community input as possible. So I would say like sometime in September would
Yeah.
like to, and then set a date for the first citizens oversight the budget advisory
It's
committee.
budget advisory / LCAP. We've got
Mhm.
dates. We're already working on dates. So
Okay,
yeah,
great.
it'll start September. The idea would be to have about approximately 5 or 6. We just talked about this morning, for 6 meetings over the course of September through about, we need to finish by January at the latest.
Mhm.
So.
Okay.
yeah, budget advisory with LCAP combined, I don't think it's, yes.
And along those lines, do we need to revisit the committee selections? I think we do that. Do we do that every year or do that in December, beginning of the year or in?
Yeah, it's on,
Oh.
it's on the September 9th agenda. It's on the next agenda.
Like the new committee assignments?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's at the same time that we do office hours.
Mhm.
Uh,
And Jason, how's the new bell schedule going?
We are planning to do a presentation at the next meeting. We did our 10-day counts. We've been meeting rigorously.
Okay.
And I think we have some good information that we'll be able to share, and things are actually, I mean, from our perspective, the high schools did a really nice job with transitioning into this schedule. I mean, there's always some challenges, but in general, we were very happy with what we saw. So, I mean, that's only one piece of the report, but we were originally planning to share with you tonight, but we wanted to wait till after the day 10, so we'd have a better information to share with you all.
All right. So this is one of the things I'm very curious about how
Yeah.
how the new bell schedule is going. So, for the next meeting, we'll have a bigger discussion item.
Be ready. Be ready.
C days are awful. There's absolutely no time to get anything done in 45-minute period, and most teachers just say, all right, today we're just gonna do like smiles and frowns or something because there's no time to actually do anything. Smiles and frowns. So you like stand in a circle and say, smile, it's Friday, or whatever, not Friday, I guess. Frown, it's Monday. And so if there's any way to not have C days next year, I would not do C days. But I understand that you have to have the fixed schedule thing. And another issue about fixed schedules is that people that play sports, since like they have games every single Tuesday and Thursday, so they're missing every single Tuesday and Thursday 6th period. And last year it would rotate, but now I have a lot of friends that are like, I literally will not be in my stats class for the next 3 months until volleyball season or football season's over because it doesn't alternate, you know what I mean? But I don't know if that's that big of a deal. Sorry. I like not having A plus, like, because a lot of times A plus was just wasted class time or wasted time because no one wants to do anything productive after sitting in class for an hour and a half. And 2 hours is way too long to be in a class. So it feels like a much better flow on B days and A days now. And I think advisory should be optional for seniors because it's crazy to just be forced to do study hall, even though, like, you know what I mean? But I think that's up to everyone else. And they already were like, some people get it, like at Petaluma High Ag, like there's one ag class that gets to have advisory option, like doesn't have to come to advisory because their class is like doing like animals, like raising animals at home. So they can leave during that period and they don't have to come back for advisory. But I would argue it's a very equivalent workload of me and some of my friends taking like 6 AP classes and 2 JC classes. It's very equivalent, maybe, to raising animals. So I don't know, but yeah, that's all to say.
Those are some fantastic early thoughts, and look forward to the conversation that we're going to have.
I always
next
thought
meeting.
that the whole point of C Day at the beginning of the week was was for teachers to kind of set up what was going to happen during the week. And you don't need an hour and a half to do that. So
Yeah, something to definitely revisit is advisory. I did realize there's a lot of miscommunication with that. Where my counselor, he is amazing. He was told one thing, then an email was sent out 20 minutes later from admin saying totally different things. And that left the counselors in confusion, swamped with appointments, super stressed out. And then the students saying, hey, you promised all of us seniors we get advisory off just to get all of us getting the forms in. And I feel like if we are in good standing GPA, we have a history of turning in all of our assignments on time, and we don't need study hall, stuff like that. I definitely do think we should have it off, but I think it would be a very good tool for students who do need that extra time to study, who are not as motivated at home. So we could talk about that next time though.
Also, I will say I think advisory is a much better like use of time than A pluses because it's a lot more productive because you like go into a different room and you're like your only job is to like study basically and you're with a different group of kids, so it's less like usually with A plus it would just be like, oh, the bell rang for A plus and everyone like relaxes and then you just like talk with your class, you know what I mean? It wasn't like you were in the mindset of doing that. So I definitely I'm a big fan of advisory versus A plus.
Excellent. Thank you. I'm sure we'll get more at our next meeting. Okay.
I
Yes.
actually wanted
Yeah.
to have an update on alternative education. Because I know we had talked about that last year about changing the structure or changing something. I just don't want to be surprised again when we get, the data, if it's the same as this current year. So what are we doing? Are we doing anything different? Are we keeping everything the same with alternative education?
Along those lines, make sure that Carpe Diem and Sonoma Mountain and San Antonio are included in that bell schedule update. Isn't that what you're doing at the next meeting? The update about how it's all going for the beginning of school, because they changed their schedule also. So I definitely want to make sure that they have that there's a time for them to talk about how their schedule, I mean, Carpe Diem and Sonoma Mountain are completely different schedules now. So
Yeah,
I'd like to know how that.
I hadn't,
work.
that wasn't part of our plan. Our plan presentation was, as I understood, was a request on, we've invested a lot of time and energy into the entire process around the high school bell schedule. We've also done a bell schedule change at the junior high. I wasn't planning, we were planning on
Okay.
focusing on the high school because there are many components to discuss, like process, the changes, graduation requirements, all of those things, how it affects students with a fixed schedule, like all of those pieces. That was going to be the focus of our next presentation, not the alternative ed and not junior high. Yeah, that would.
So then maybe with the alt ed, we can include that, because I'd really like to hear.
Absolutely, and we could in a future time do share on the junior high, but I would recommend that for this first report we focus on one because they're all very different. They have.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some similarities, but there's a lot of differences.
Yeah, there's a ton of differences. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, and I wasn't necessarily thinking about the bell schedule, just in general, alternative education.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
agree.
okay,
I agree.
okay.
The bell schedule is just.
Okay,
to
just an
piggyback
add-on.
On
Okay.
that, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, meeting